So communication can be verbal or non-verbal. Okay. Uh, this is to say that when you speak, that is verbal communication. You you share information. This can be through face-to-face conversations, meetings, interviews, conferences, even telephone or phone calls. Okay, these are all uh, uh, verbal communication examples. Okay, so you can have the verbal communication. That is basically the spoken language. For example, what I'm speaking at the moment. Okay, but you can also have non-vocal verbal communication. Okay, I'm not using my vocal cords. If you're not using your vocal cords, the vocal cords are the ones which allow you to speak. Okay, so we have written communication under the non-vocal verbal communication. So even sign language and finger spelling are examples of that. And then we have what we call paralanguage uh, features. Okay, these are features that enhance spoken communication without using words. They allow you to emphasize points in your verbal communication. Things like the pitch, the voice quality, the amplitude, uh, and the rate, the prosody. These are very important in enhancing the message that you're actually delivering. Okay, so you can elevate your voice to emphasize a given point, or you can lower your voice still again to emphasize uh, uh, message that you want to pass over. Okay, so they also convey issues to do with attitude, emotions, and even shades of meaning. So nonverbal communication basically employs body language and gestures. Okay, so the body language portrays how you feel, what you're going through in terms of emotions and attitude, and also thoughts. Okay, sometimes it can be cautious or subconscious. Okay, so when you are, for example, having a meeting with somebody, and maybe you're meeting that person for the first time, um, how you conduct yourself will demonstrate whether you are at ease or you you feel pressured, you feel uneasy, or you can easily go along with the person in the conversation. So these can be things that you may not notice, okay, but they're basically communicating about you. That's why actually we said that you cannot not communicate. You cannot not communicate. You cannot decide not to communicate, because if you decide not to communicate, your body will communicate. Okay. So if you see presidents meeting, let us say the president of US meeting the president of, let us say the president of maybe South Sudan or even any other country, president of Kenya. Um, the pictures that are always taken, they are of very good, they are very important because they help us analyze whether the conversations that these people are having or these people have had before are progressive conversations or their conversations that portray that they're antagonistic. Okay, so verbal, non-verbal communication, body language is very important for such things. So even when you go for an interview, how you carry yourself, how you sit, how you look at people interviewing you, uh, how you fold your hands. For example, the picture that we have here, the person is folding their arms. What does that portray? Usually, when the person folds their hands, they they are inward. They are not they are not willing to open up and interact with people. Okay, they they are not expansive. They are reserved. Okay, uh, so that's an example of non-verbal communication in terms of body language. So usually when you meet people, um, be very critical on their body language because their body language conveys 55% of the message that they are conveying to you. So the words actually may have 7%, and then the tone of the voice carries 38%. Okay, so this illustrates that body language is very, very, very key. So you should be very cautious about your body language. Um, you should also be mindful that your body language is consistent with the words that you speak. Okay, you can't have a reserved posture while you you are expressing being just a minute. You can't be in a reserved posture yet you are speaking words that portray you as being friendly, outspoken, and things like that. That is misalignment, okay, and it brings up issues of misinterpretation. So that means that your body language and the ones that you speak should be in alignment. It should be in alignment. Okay, so that's very, very important. That's what we mean by consistency there. Eye contact. Oh, let's look at the different non-verbal communication elements. So how you sit, how you stand, that is posture, how you move, okay, your gestures while giving speech. These are elements of non-verbal communication. Eye contact is very important. Um, Orientation. Are you facing the audience, or you're giving the audience your back? What is your orientation to the people that are listening to you? Okay. Are you focused on the screen? Usually when we tell students to present to fellow students, their eyes are fixed on the computer screen and they don't look at the audience. Okay. Um, your your ability to present yourself, how you dress up, is very important. How you express emotion, these are also very important uh, non-verbal communication. Okay, so for example, we shall give you uh, a presentation in your exams and say, listen, watch this presentation and identify areas where body language was used appropriately or inappropriately. Where do we have consistency or alignment in body language and what is being communicated? And where do we have misalignment of body language and what is being communicated? So body language is very key because it reveals um, what one is going through in terms of feelings. Uh, so you look at issues to do with hand, hand gestures, facial expression, eye movement. All these provide you with insights on what the person is going through. For example, if you the picture that we have on the screen illustrates that the picture that you have on the screen illustrates that these people actually are going through uh, an emotional issue, and perhaps they are not settled, okay, and they need to address that issue, okay. So that is what you basically see there. Body language is very important, especially in relationships. It tells you whether um, people are actually uh, emotional attached, okay. Issues to do with eye contact, like for example, what you see in this picture portrays affection and mutual love, okay. Uh, so uh, body language communicates about the health, whether the relationship is healthy or it is not, okay. Um, you also need to note that non-verbal communication needs to be interpreted in the context, uh, because uh, the way we interpret this non-verbal communication differs in accordance to the context or cultural issues or um, cultural background issues can affect verbal communication. And verbal communication can never be universal. Okay, the way we interpret non-verbal communication cannot be universal. Okay, that's very very important. Okay, for example, in greeting, we don't greet people in the same way. Uh, for example, in South Sudan here, shaking hands is very very paramount, and therefore, if you meet someone for the first time and then you don't shake hands, that is a non-verbal cue. You're communicating something very serious. Okay, yeah. Just imagine in one of the meetings where we have our president and then our vice president, and then when time comes for maybe welcoming the president, and then the vice president does not bring his hand for greeting or shaking hands, that is a very 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 big problem, a very big problem. Okay, um, so it's very important that non-verbal communication is interpreted in context. So in our case, like for example, the greeting, the hugging, those are very, very important. If we don't see them, um, it's we may need to analyze what's really happening, or this particular message that is actually being passed.